All right, let's get into it. Today, we're not just looking at a stock, we're cracking a case. In this technical report, this is our case file. We're going to go through it clue by clue to figure out what is really going on with this company.
You know the feeling. You check your portfolio and a stock is deep in the red. Your first instinct might be to panic, to sell, right? But is that the right move? Could this actually be a golden opportunity? That's the age-old question, and the answer isn't on the surface.
And here it is. This is what kicks off our whole investigation. The stock, ticker symbol ASM, dropped almost 5% in just one day. That's a pretty big move. So what's the story behind this number?
To solve this mystery, we're going to put on our detective hats. This report is filled with clues. Every number, every chart tells a piece of the story, and our job is to put them all together. So let's start digging for our first piece of evidence.
Okay, first things first, we need some context. Was this big drop just a random blip on the radar, or is it part of a much bigger, scarier pattern? We need to figure out the trend.
And the main tool for that is something called the moving average. Now, don't let the name scare you. Think of it like this. It just smooths out all the wild day-to-day price swings so we can see the real, underlying direction the stock is headed. It cuts through the noise.
And right away, we've got a problem. Our first clue is a total contradiction. If you look at the short-term picture, things look kind of grim. The price has fallen below its recent 20-day average. That's a bearish signal. But if you zoom out and look at the long-term, 200-day average, the story flips completely. The price is still way above it, which is a classic bullish sign.
So what we have here is a conflict. It's like the stock has a split personality. The recent vibe is pessimistic, but the big picture, the long game, still looks pretty optimistic. This tension is the first major clue in our case. All right, next question for our investigation. How much muscle was behind that drop? Was it a gentle downward drift, or was it a powerful shove? We're talking about momentum, the force driving the price. To get a read on this, we use an indicator called the MACD. Now, that stands for Moving Average Convergence Divergence, which sounds really complicated, I know, but its job is actually super simple. It just tells us if the momentum is speeding up or slowing down for either the bulls or the bears. And whoa, the MACD is giving us a huge clue. Just look at that MACD histogram. It's negative. That alone tells us the bears, the sellers, are in control right now. But here's the real kicker. It's also falling, which means that negative momentum is actually getting stronger. It's picking up speed. That's a big point for the bearish argument.
And if you needed any more proof, look at this. This number pulls all the momentum clues together into one score. On a scale from 0 to 100, where 100 is full steam ahead bullish, ASM gets a score of just 26. That's really, really weak. There's no doubt about it. The bears are totally dominating the momentum game right now.
Okay, so we've got a shaky short-term trend and really bad momentum. But here's the next question. Did the market actually believe in this price drop? Was there real conviction? To figure that out, we have to follow the money. And that means we need to look at volume.
Here's how to think about it. If a stock's price falls but only a tiny number of shares were traded, it's kind of like a rumor nobody believes. But if the price falls and a ton of shares are traded, that shows there was real conviction behind the move. Volume is what gives the price action its weight. And the key number here is called relative volume. For ASM, it was 1.26. All you need to know is that anything over 1 means it was a busier than average day for trading. So that 1.26 tells us trading activity was 26% higher than normal on the day of the drop. This wasn't some quiet little sell-off. A lot of people were hitting the sell button. This high volume is like a giant stamp of confirmation on that price drop, making it much more significant. All right, detective, it's time. Let's step back, look at our evidence board, and put all of these clues together. We've got conflicting trends, we've got terrible momentum, and we've got high volume. So, what's the final verdict? Let's just recap the case for a second. The evidence for the bears is pretty strong, right? Weak short-term trend, awful momentum, and it all happened on high volume. But we can't just ignore that big piece of evidence for the bulls, that rock-solid long-term uptrend. And it all boils down to this, one single number that takes everything we've looked at and puts it all together. The final technical score is 50.98. Now remember, on this scale, 0 is as bad as it gets, 100 is as good as it gets, and 50 is dead neutral. This stock is basically sitting right on the fence.
And you can see it perfectly here. It's almost an exact 50-50 split. All the bearish stuff we found, the weak momentum, the high volume selling,
That makes up 49% of the picture. But that strong long-term trend is still holding on, making up the other 51%.
So, our investigation is closed, and the verdict is in. The case of the big drop wasn't a clear-cut sign of panic or opportunity. It's a perfect tug of war. The stock is basically in a state of limbo, trapped between short-term fear and long-term optimism.
But you know, the real takeaway from this case isn't just about ASM. It's a checklist, a playbook, that you can use anytime you see a stock make a big move. You can be the detective. Find the incident, check the trend, gauge the momentum, follow the money, and then bring it all together for your own verdict.
Which leaves us with one last big question. When a stock is stuck in a perfect tug-of-war like this, what do you trust? Do you bet on the powerful, long-term trend, or do you pay more attention to the immediate, forceful punch of momentum and volume? And honestly, the answer to that is what defines you as an investor. Thanks for joining me on this case.